minutes late. I literally 30 seconds before I was supposed to flip the switch, I spilled a drink on my desk. So I had to fiddle with that, make sure there was nothing dangerous, electronic, whatever was in the path of the soda. Cleared that up. Took me a minute though, but I'm here. Nothing seems the worse for wear. Happy Friday. Glad you made it. I don't think I have any programming notes. Posted a video this morning. Check that out on alignment languages. It's just kind of my experience. If you're in these streams often, I talked about it on my recap. Thought it was worth talking about maybe a little bit on its own. So I did a quick video on that. Also, the stream with Alyssa Faden was awesome as usual. I did that last night, so you could look for that. Let's get to Reddit. Let us see what is what. And here we go. And nothing says up your drinking skill next time you level. It wasn't even so much my drinking skill as in let me not put my drink in the path that I'm going to move my mic stand over so that one doesn't knock into the other. And if I'm going to do it gently enough so that, I don't just knock over with force the thing it's running into. I recently got a new mic stand, which I am enjoying a lot. It's one of these low, what do they call it? A lot of mic stands, they kind of come over the top. You monkey around with this one, with them like that way. But they can be a little bit awkward. A lot of people like it, but they have these new ones now that are kind of, I forget they call them low, whatever. They're low. And so a lot of people like them, streamers or whatever like them, because if you have two monitors, you can kind of put them between the monitors. I actually don't. I have two monitors, but my two monitor setup is a little bit weird. Because I use my laptop monitor and then I use another kind of fold-up monitor. In any case, I don't, and my desk that I'm using is it's not that wide. It's not that deep, I should say. So it doesn't really work the way a lot of folks like it, but I actually have mine coming out of the side, which is really nice because it stays low. It's kind of right. Can't really see it sometimes, depending on where, if I've lifted up, it's kind of right there. And then I can slide it out of the way so I have my desk clear. But in this case, I had it slid over, and when I kind of reversed it to bring it over, I didn't realize my soda can was right there. And, ba-blam, down it went. Terrence, Todd's drinking problem finally revealed. Yes, but it's a drinking problem like what's his name in Airplane, where he's slamming the drink on his face. Hey, Chip. Chip says, I like turning one monitor 90 degrees for reading documents. I wish I had one of those, but this is one of these, not to get too far down the tech rabbit hole, but I use a laptop and I have this other monitor, but it's basically a folding monitor, which is really like you imagine a wide, large tablet, like an iPad Pro, let's say, only there's no touch screen, no functionality, it's just the screen part. But it comes in kind of a stand-like case, like you might see an iPad Pro, where you can put it on its side. I don't know if I can turn this one and have it register as 90 degrees. And the stand, I'd have to figure out another way to mount it. But what I like about this is it's light. It's not any heavier than an actual iPad Pro. It's probably lighter than iPad Pro. So if I'm going somewhere, I can just take my laptop, take that extra monitor, throw them in a bag, and go. So on the one hand, it's really handy. But now that I'm thinking about it, maybe when I'm at this desk, it might be just better and all around just to get an actual second monitor and then have this one just be my Go monitor. All right, enough tech talk, or more tech talk. I'm all about give the people what they want. But let's see. Let me give this one more refresh. There was one of these that I had just looked at it a minute ago, and I thought, if it's still there, I want to check it out, but I'm not sure. Okay, well, at the very top, I'm on the hot tab as usual. If you're playing the home version of the game, go to Reddit/r/OSR and use your hot tab, which should be the default. Here we have something, I think it's just going to be a picture. Dungeon Crawl the old school way, posted by Horoscope Design. Is this actually something? Okay, it's just a picture. That is a nice picture. I like those. The minis are cool. I like that. I don't even know if it's really a tile or what, but it's pretty cool. Pretty cool, but not really much to talk about. But here, take a thumbs up. Okay, here's the one that maybe I was interested in. Do you think it's necessarily important to run a game as intended before changing things? Posted by Bugzug. When you gotta zug your bugs, call Bugzug. Oh, but it's just a question. I really like if they're gonna have these sorts of things. I really wish people would not just post a title. Give me your thoughts, Bugzug. I want to know, what do you think before I can, we'll read some of the comments, see what they think. But I just wish. Okay, Ivan the Unpleasant says absolutely necessary. No, extremely useful and informative. Yes. So here's my take. I wish I knew a little bit more of what they were looking for. Do I think it's necessarily important to run a game as intended before changing things? I wouldn't. I think it is very important. Your experience is going to play a big role here. So I've been playing a lot of BX. I'm fairly familiar with BX. If a game like, say, I don't know, OSC comes out, but maybe one that has a few more quirks to it, that's not just straight up BX clone, but it's kind of similar, I might feel comfortable enough with understanding where everything is, having not only read it, but played in it and run it, to tweak some things if I think, ooh, I like these things OSC has done, but I like these other things maybe that are a little bit different. OSC, I think, is pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? It is not... it's pretty much a straight clone. It is not opinionated, really, in terms of what they're changing. So to contrast it, maybe we say Lamentation Flame Princess is a lot more opinionated. It's not just giving you this clone of BX. It is making a lot of changes. You could really think about it like you were getting these people's, the authors' homebrew, essentially, not just their base rules, but then all integrated with changes that they've made to make the gameplay certain ways that they want. And you may look at those and think, well, maybe I want these, maybe I don't. With something like it was based on BX, I might feel comfortable enough to say, okay, I don't need to play Lamentations to know that either I like this or I kind of like it the way it was before better, or I appreciate where they're coming from, but for the style of game I want to play, maybe I want to do something else. However, if I wasn't familiar at all with it, and I pick up this game, let's say I picked up Troika or Electric Bastion Land or something else that is not so much in my wheelhouse, not that I would feel that I can't make changes, but I do think that you can't get the full feel of everything through just reading the rules. And I actually think that's a problem that comes up a lot. I used to see this a while back. Maybe people have kind of chilled out on a little bit, right? You get people who've been playing 5th edition or maybe post 3rd edition, and they'll come back and they'll pick up. I just happen to have it here, so I'll wave it. Right? They'll pick up this book and they'll read it and they'll go, oh my gosh, I can't believe how this works. Can you believe what it's written? Or blah blah blah, or the ye old, oh, it's just a war game, or oh, it's just this or that or whatever. And they'll rattle off some things that they read and as if to say, see, or look at this, herder, but they never played it. And you can't get the full, I think, full experience. You can't get a sense of what the full experience is without playing it. It's easy to read a rule, and some rules are going to read really well, but then you play them and they go, I thought I would like it, but I don't, right? Or you could read a rule that seems kind of clunky, but then you play the game and it clicks. And you go, aha, I understand now, even though maybe the way it was written or the way that they explained it, whatever, I didn't care for, but playing it, that fills in some blank, and now, bam, I get it. So I think it's very useful to play things as much as you can, if you can, before you change them, just so you can get that full context of everything, because I don't think you can get the full context just from reading it. And that's why I try to make sure when I'm doing my read-alongs and things, like, hey, I'm reading it. Maybe it plays in a way that's different than the read. I'm only giving kind of the reading view. So that's my take. I do think that often, and it's one of those weird things, I'll see people, and more in 5th edition than the OSR games, just because I feel like in the OSR space, stuff is almost made more modular, where they really almost mean it for you to break it apart or be able to use it in different pieces. But in 5th edition, I'll see posts, hey, I've never played or run 5th edition before. Give me your home rule. Give me your house rules. and I kind of think, or give me, play the game first before you start changing it. Because one, how do you even know what's going to work for you? How do you even, what baseline would you have to judge something working or not if you don't even know what that game is? That maybe is the biggest thing, right? If you're going to make changes, don't you want to know what the original thing is? Don't you want to turn on that engine and say, okay, here's where it is. Now I'm going to make changes, and then I can kind of judge whether it's improving or not improving this system. If I don't have a baseline, how am I supposed to do that? And the other thing is, house rules are very personal. Just because some people like a certain rule doesn't mean you're going to like it. And how are you going to know if you don't really have any understanding of what you like or dislike about the original game? So that's me. Hey, Dave Mills. Hey, Chip. Hey, everybody. All right. What does Rascal_Blacktail have to say? I think at first you should play as written just so you can get a feel for it and know what the mechanics are. Maybe they do something better than what you have in the past. Maybe they present a different angle that you didn't consider before. Even further than that, having a decent understanding of the game is important before you start changing various elements so that you know what other parts will be affected by the change that will be made. I may think changing this mechanic won't hurt anything, only to find out later that I missed how it tied into another mechanic, which is now broken. Of course, I think experience plays into this as well. Games follow a pretty standard for a foundation for the most part, so someone with lots of experience will have a pretty standard understanding of the general principles, concepts, and mechanics that will be affected by the GM changes, and they know how to adjust accordingly. For me personally, I try to play as written before making changes. It makes things easier for my players at my table as they're mostly new to all of this, and I like to have things in the book that they can see rather than a list of table rules they have to memorize that goes against what they read in the rule book. All right, I think that's pretty good. I don't have too much more to say about that. I was kind of hoping for more commentary by the original poster, the OP, but it's not there. It's not there. All right, what else we got? Loot the Body, getting them a thumbs up. They've a friend of the channel. Let's see, creating a setting, but only as the players explore the world. Let's try this one. Does it have text? It does. Okay, creating a setting, but only as the players explore the world. Posted by Papa Zaff. I'm running an exclusive campaign for my new friendly local gaming shop or store. I'm using old school essentials for the rules with some small tweaks and a lot of Carcass Crawler Volume 1 stuff. I've not told the players this, but they are building the setting. I have some stuff outlined like it's a monotheistic world with some cultures having quote-unquote pagan ways. The church doesn't force those of paganism to convert, and point of fact clerics are rare. Other things like there are 3 moons, dwarves are a matriarchal society, and there are firearms because why not? Anyone have any tips for doing this? I want the players to shape the world, but without them really knowing it's happening. I don't know. I'm not sure how I would do this without them knowing it's happening. I think a lot of the rules and mechanics that want to integrate world building as a player-facing activity kind of make it... They kind of open it up so that the players are aware of it, because generally it involves asking them questions, saying things like, "Oh, where are you from?" And then not only and then instead of saying to them, or maybe them asking you, "I'm not sure where are some points on the map," you say, "Hey, you tell me. You point on the map where you want it to be, or you tell me what region you want it to be, and fill it in." So they generally know what they're doing. I'm not sure how I would say how I would try to trick them in a sense to world building without knowing it. Maybe you can sort of, and I'm not sure why it matters. Like the idea that they don't know. I don't know what the point of that is. But I would look at those things, asking questions during character generation. And then maybe you could ask them questions in terms of, I'll find a place for you to live, but tell me these things you'd like about it. And maybe they think they're just describing things and you're going to pick, and instead you're taking notes and literally just writing up what they gave you. I'm not sure, but I don't know what the purpose would be of having them not knowing. I feel like you don't need to be slick. Don't worry about being slick with this. They're going to do it without realizing it. Well, I guess, but I don't think you need to do that. Just let them know, and then make it an activity. That way, they can have fun with it. That's kind of the point, right? Double Mess 9 says Luca has an interesting post called Anti-Canon Worlds and the Ultraviolet Grasslands, where he describes how he makes space for players to have input on the game world. He jettisons the quote-unquote classic AD&D model of referee as source of all knowledge about the world and tries to quote-unquote run games that revolve around the dynamic interaction of players and referees and texts, and where the world is a unique and ephemeral creation that appears for a moment in the collective imagination of the group. It's an approach that echoes some of the design goals of Perilous Wilds, which Lutz describes as his, quote, attempt to combine Dungeon World's approach to collaborative world building with the old school RPG reliance on random tables to generate content on the fly. Both sources might give you some ideas. I'll give a thumbs up. Some good stuff in there. And I'll save that because I might check out that link later. Worlds Without Number has an excellent section on game world building. I would agree with that. And then some other links for some quick scaffolding. I'll save those. They look good. I don't think too much more of note on that. Don't forget to give it upvote. Let's go back to the well and see what else we can find. 2 free pamphlet adventures plus and terrain making vids. All right, let's see these pamphlet adventures. These are posted by Frank Steen. I like the image there. And there he is. Cool. I assume that that's him. Maybe it's not him. So how do I? That's okay. That was weird. I guess it's because it was going back and forth between I think I'm on the older Reddit and there's the newer Reddit. Anyway. All right. So Frank Steen posted these. Give him a thumbs up. I like the pictures. And then his actual post, come play in a world of belief in dark fantasy alongside my co-author Seth. I've written up 2 free pamphlet adventures, each available on itch. And they're in support of an ongoing Kickstarter, which I think seems to be called Twice Made, Once Forgotten, a belief-based OSR setting. Well, let's take a look at these pamphlets, see what they are going on. So first one we have one's called Echoes of Void, a mystery adventure where players stumble into an urgent crisis. A building clings to the side of a cliff. The fissure below emits unreality. Inside, Bellamy, the 7th and last, has failed to defeat No Thing, who now threatens to unbind the nothingness. Can the players figure out what is happening and stop No Thing before all is lost? And then, The Past's Grasp is an exploration adventure of the ruined body of a giant construct from a previous age. The Goliath structure still crackles with electricity, and the residents within have only grown weirder over time. Discover the awakened antennae, dreams of lost loves, and maybe even the origins of constructs. Okay, and then I guess there's some YouTubers who have made some terrains of all that. I am completely ignorant on terrain and terrain makery. Which one of these? Let's say I think I'll do one of them. Look at one. Assuming they're easy to pull out of itch. I think we'll go with Echoes of the Void. Mysteries are interesting to me. That go. Echoes of the Void. All right, easy peasy. I will post a link to this in the chat. Nothing says No Thing. I think he's my cousin. Yeah, maybe. Does that mean Thing might be, your second cousin? What's this called again? Echoes of Void? Ugh. There we go. You want to download that? It's completely free, so it seems. Oh no, but the one thing is I don't want to. Oh, am I going to have to? Am I going to have to dare restream here to to not kill me. All right, I'm gonna try to. Let me try to just read this. So this is one of these, like a threefold pamphlet in two pages. And this one's actually printed, so you don't have to, or the way that the file is, you don't have to do any finagling to read it. How to use. Characters can find themselves at the Dwarven outpost for a variety of reasons. They've been drawn by the wicked aura of the Fisher. A friend asked them to check on their cousin Meryl. Rumors of a great and powerful magic. The building is in a state of crisis, and fixing it will save lives, but perhaps not pay well in traditional means. So this is a Dwarven outpost that is on the edge of this fissure. That was not... I don't think that was stated anywhere else. I think I'm reading this in the right ways. Am I? And then we have a cast of characters section with No Thing the Lesser, which is an entity conjured by people trying to imagine nothing. They are weary and wish to free their bound comrades. They are willing to retreat if necessary, but will not tolerate disrespect, even if it means death. Run them as a weakened demon, plus make disappear once per day, make distance or a person vanish, cease to exist. The effect is permanent. Make distance or a person vanish, cease to exist. I'm not sure what that means in terms of how do you make distance cease to exist. Not sure what that means. And then the other note is no thing is an idea. They can die, but will return. Okay. So it is conjured by people trying to imagine nothing. So people trying to clear their minds. So doesn't that seem... Would they be... aren't there lots of meditation types that are all about clearing your mind? Would that be bringing no things into existence? Bellamy, the seventh and last. They have sacrificed much to have their powers. They are willing to give everything. A wizard that bears a whip and a dagger. Let's see, there's some effect called Bound. They know when people enter the building. It knows, or they know the location of spell scrolls in the library, and they specialize in enchantment. There's also Freya, the Selfless. She bound nothing to this spot. She carries the Fisher within her. She will threaten the world if she escapes. Meryl and Bart, they have been tasked with watching this place. They meddled and paid with their lives. Now we have, looks like a location called the Bridge. The ornate rope bridge is only accessible through the bottom floor. The bridge itself crosses downward into darkness. After 200 meters of descent, light ceases to penetrate the chasm. The temperature remains constantly tepid, even as days of descent are made. Okay, so this crisscrosses the fissure, running down the fissure in some kind of zigzaggy pattern. Hazards, you're going to roll for an encounter once every 12 hours spent traveling along the bridge. So twice a day, or once per day, once per night. They didn't put numbers on these hazards. I'm not sure why, but you can get psychic bees, a single lost one, an entity of grief, crows singing a ghastly dirge, Sorrow the miner, who was a woman draped in white garland, crying incessantly. If pressed, she screams, "You shall see!" and attempts to gouge your eyes. That's not very nice. Something called concentrated sleep, resembling coarse black sand it rains from the sky. Do not touch if you wish to stay in the waking. But if it's raining from the sky, it might be hard not to get touched, but I suppose you just got to take a shot at it. Grief fish. They fly upon the chasm's gales. They have no pigment or eyes, but crave the flesh of the joyful. We've got vines that grow across a stretch of bridge. Closer inspection would reveal the leaves are made of tightly stitched emeralds with a beauty that makes you forget the face of a loved one. 1d4 lamentation orbs. These are floating balls of cool light. They wish to see what you see and never give it back. There's definitely a lot of flavor in here. Light, very, very light on mechanically how things should be done, which may or may not matter to you. I mean, it is a pamphlet, so how much are we expecting them to put in here? But it definitely has a very strong theming and flavor comes through. A single cat, she looks for her owner and knows nothing is bound but not stopped. I'm not sure what that means in terms of a cat. Oh my gosh. The bridge is replaced by a heap of moaning maws and tear-drenched eyes. They weep for you. The next section is what slumbers. Nothing lies at the bottom. The fissure is older than the cliff that surrounds it. It always has been and always will be. When this meager existence flickers, it will remain. Without nothing, there cannot be things. The bridge leads to nowhere. It is just a matter of how long it takes the characters to realize. So so this bridge, you go through the bottom floor of this building and you see the bridge, and the bridge will be zigzagging down this chasm, but the chasm is just going to keep going. So essentially it's a dead end without being a dead end. It's just going to be zigzagging, presumably through eternity, which is bad things happening. It might be nice. It might be nice to get some guidance as to, I mean, yeah, sure, the players could just figure out after so much time of going down there that there's nothing there. Maybe nice to get some hints about what kind of things we can clue in other than just saying, like, yeah, it keeps going. Maybe if we say it with enough lack of enthusiasm, yep, keeps going, they'll get the gist. All right, we have a statue of Freya the Selfless, carved from solid marble, stands at the edge of the fissure. Her dwarven tusks are emblazoned with gold and displayed toward the heavens, while her bound hands pull the dwarven fortress from its encasement within the cliff. I didn't know dwarves had tusks. Dwarven tusks. Now we've got 3 floors to this. There is no map. We're just given a top floor. There's a top floor, a middle floor, and a bottom floor, and that's how they're labeled. And the top floor has a description of behind the statue, stairs lead down to large metal doors inset into the unyielding stone. They were bound shut by ornate purple rope, now cut and tossed aside. The floor is divided by one main hallway with rooms sprawling from it. The walls are scorched, and the scent of ozone hangs heavy in the air. Groans of agony come from the nearby living quarters. So on this first floor, we've got living quarters, we got an apiary and meadery, and we have the archives. In the living quarters, described as being austere and functional, the series of rooms can comfortably fit 50 people. The first room is stained red, and lying in the center is an armless Bellamy, barely holding on to life. They fought no thing. Bellamy will implore the group to eliminate the threat or pay with their lives later. Bellamy will also mention the Armory. If the pain sounds cease, no thing will investigate. Bellamy knows this. If the pained sounds cease, so he's got to keep kind of wailing, groaning in agony. Kind of interesting. The apiary and meadery, buzzing can be heard behind the broken wooden door. Psychic bees within collect pollen and stray thoughts through secret tunnels to the surface. In better times, their honey is turned to mead. The bees are in crates behind simple wire mesh. When needed, they are put into hibernation with a hammer that can chill a room. It lays discarded by the door. Do we know anything about psychic bees? I suppose we'll just have to make it up. Nothing says, I mean, they aren't going to figure it out as much as give up. So it's hard to make that anything but disappointing. Yeah, it would be disappointing if you just kind of like, okay, yeah, we went down here for nothing. That's why I think some clues or ideas or kind of what to do, because it's one of those things that in the concept, it's pretty neat. Endless chasm, and you've got this bridge that's zigzagging down there, and all kinds of funky things can happen, but where do they go? They're just supposed to kind of have a whole bunch of stuff happen. Could be fatal, and it's like, yeah, there was really no reason for you to go on the bridge. Maybe there's something you have to do, go so far on the bridge and do something. I mean, maybe we'll read about that, but yeah, it's a bit, if they end up getting down there. Now, granted, they have to get all the way down to the bottom of this thing to get there, but yeah, it seems like maybe a concept that works better on paper, and in the game, you might think, okay, that was kind of a waste of time. And especially because there's no particular reward. It's not like there's fun stuff that can be had on the bridge. It's just, no, there's a series of terrors you will experience while going nowhere, basically. And then if they go down for a ways, then they got to come back up. And unless you're going to hand wave them coming back up, then they get to face all those stuff over again as they're coming up the other direction. So we got psychic bees. In the archives, the oppressive odor of paper wafts from this room. Organization has gone to ish as No Thing has torn through looking for intel on the entrance to the bottom floor. Intel. The chatty head archivist Jedediah, an enchanted skull, cowers in the corner but is willing to help. There's a 30% chance that a book on any given specific topic can be found therein. All right, so there's the No Thing is trying to get down to the middle floor, but we don't actually have any. Where is the No Thing? If the No Thing can't get to the middle floor, then it's got to be on the top floor somewhere, but it actually doesn't show up in any of those descriptions. So where is the No Thing? Or maybe maybe that was in the past and the No Thing has already gotten to the middle floor at this stage. As to the middle floor, a simple stone staircase descends from the top floor to another door-lined hallway, which ends in an open chamber that is brightly lit by towering stained glass windows. Chambers brightly lit by... Oh, little typo there, or like something repeated text. In the center of the chamber lies a trapdoor, sealed tight. Every door, including the hatch, is adorned with knotted charms threaded around bones and ruined metals. Pondering atop the hatch is a black cloud, knives occasionally flickering within. No Thing. Okay, so the No Thing did end up finding the entrance, but I mean it's... Oh, entrance to the bottom floor. Okay, my bad. So the beginning of the middle floor wasn't the issue. It was... Because I was going to say it's just a staircase, but he's trying to get through this hatch. And he's been ransacking the library trying to get information on the hatch. So there's the No Thing, but no information is given as to if it's going to attack us or how that would work. Does it say in the description? It's kind of vague. So we'd have to... you could roll some morale and reaction, or maybe it would... I mean, I might sit there and have it go away or retreat. It's just so that it went. Hopefully the party would get through the door for it. Rope making room. Stretching 250 meters deep into the mountainside, this long room is outfitted with all the equipment needed to make ropes, chain, and anything in between. Strange materials line the walls, awaiting fabrication into bindings. Those with arcane knowledge will know of their applications. Yes, but what are their applications? We don't know. Now we have an observatory. A mighty telescope stands on its dais, angled out of a window at the end of the room. It is pointed downward towards the fissure. Notebooks with observations lay stacked neatly on the wall. The latest is missing. Looking through the telescope, one can see nothing, but can hear the straining of leather and a woman's hoarse laughter, which I think, at least the woman's laughter is a call to one of the random encounters from the bridge, I think. And then we have the Armory. The Armory, a testament to dwarven ingenuity, is equipped for both traditional and untraditional warfare. The walls are adorned with familiar heavy maces, but also the unfamiliar means of magic-bound yo-yos and contraptions of laced rope. 3 sets of decorated chainmail armor hang on dummies. Here you can also find an alchemy set, though only 2 potions are brewed currently. They sit on a shelf and have the following effects. Supravisibility. Become invisible to those partially outside reality for 2 hours. Remain visible otherwise. And then Vessel. The drinker becomes a receptacle that will bind entities if they try to escape. Supravisibility. Become invisible to those partially outside reality. But who or what in this place is partial to only partially or partially outside reality? I'm not sure who that applies to. Presumably the nothing, the no thing. But that's something that I would call out. Invisible to the entities, the no thing, and the entities in the bridge or on the bridge or something like that to make it kind of clear who this is supposed to work for. Are the psychic bees? Will that work on them? Will it not work on them? And then who's trying to escape? What entities? Is it the no thing binds them? And then what does that mean? I'd like some more info. But I think this is really all about the flavor and the ideas. And then you as a GM are going to have to read through this and figure out how you want to make it work. Which again makes sense because it's in the pamphlet. It's only 2 pages, but I don't think you either have to run this in a system that was just very kind of loosey-goosey. If you're just going to have someone handed this to you and said, here, run it right now. Or you really have to go through and kind of think about some of these things. And what's the word I'm talking about? And sort of pad it out and add in all the more crunch that I think it would need before you could run it. And then finally, the bottom floor, the hatch to the middle floor, open to those who still possess and control their own soul. The ladder down leads to a chamber with rooms radiating out. All right, so I'm guessing the no thing has no soul. So it can't do that itself. I'm not sure about other things. But the one guy has no arms, so he can't open the hatch anyway. I'm not sure there's anybody else here inside. Jedediah, the enchanted skull, could it presumably do it? Maybe not. Maybe that doesn't count as someone who controls their own soul. Research most foul. The room is covered with ash, the remains of Merrill and Bart. Fastidious notes are collated into a bound volume, testament to their good intentions. The remnants of their experiments are warped hopes hovering in space, constant reminders of their failures. They are likely best left untouched. Notes on no thing can be found in their research. Now, Nothing says, that's a lot of cool stuff, but I'd rather have 25% the amount of cool stuff with some more practical info. Yeah, I'm not sure what my exact ratio would be, but yes, this is like 99% cool stuff, 1% stuff that is useful practically, right? Or maybe not that much, but it's very much on the, here's a bunch of cool stuff, but you're going to have to do all the legwork to make it work. And yes, I probably would be like you and say, how about I take a little bit less of the cool stuff and a little bit more on how I would envision you actually making this happen. I mean, it's nice to have stuff be really flavorful, right? They're likely best left untouched is great, but it makes me wonder, why. And while I can do that myself, I kind of like with this kind of content to know what the person who designed it, who presumably has run this before, how do they play it? What untouched? What does it do? And you don't have to give a whole mechanical thing, but you could say touching it would result in a spell effect similar to X spell or some other kind of effect that we can more easily translate into something. So if you said, it's like, I don't know, you were touched by death or something, or it was like a power word, whatever, or finger of death kind of thing, then I can say, okay, it's like finger of death, and I can, go there. Or, okay, it's like sleep. And I can easily look up my mechanics for sleep. At least I kind of know what they're talking about. I think the other thing here that I have not seen is I have no, and maybe this is done purposefully, but there's no concept of what kind of level this is for. Is this something that they envision me running for a new party? Is this supposed to be for folks with lots of spells, or they're mid-level or high level? They haven't given a lot of senses of how you're supposed to integrate those things, because it is just so much on the flavor theme side of the spectrum. Okay, so after research most foul, we have the guttering flame. In the next circular chamber, a single candle sits at the center of the ruined floor. The candle is low, but casts enough light to fill the room. Shadows of things real and imaginary dance maliciously on the walls. When the characters walk into the building, only 1 hour of time remains to keep the shadows at bay. Replacement candles are in the laboratory. So this is another one. When the characters enter the building, only 1 hour of time remains to keep the shadows at bay. Shadows, but what happens if the shadows aren't kept at bay? Shadows of things real and imaginary dance maliciously on the walls. But you only have an hour, which you can go by an hour fast. If you spend just 10 minutes in each of these areas, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. There's your hour. You spend 10 minutes in the living quarters, 10 minutes in the apiary meadery, 10 minutes in the archives. Maybe you spend 10 minutes going down the stairs or doing whatever checking you want to do. Then you spend 10 minutes in the rope making room. You spend 10 minutes in the observatory. Your hour runs out before you've even hit the armory. And that's if you just took one action, right? I'm talking 10 minutes like in the sense of we examine this thing in the living quarters. We move 120, like, all these things. 10 minutes, 1 hour, it's gone. You are gone. That's by the time you ever get down to the guttering flame. That's presuming you haven't fought the no thing and had to retreat and heal, or do something else, or whatever other things come up. And obviously everything could eat time. Very easy to go through an hour of stuff. So by the time you get down the guttering flame, unless they mean enter that floor or something else, saying 1 hour, it's done. And I'd like to know, okay, so they get down there and the flames running out. Like, what does it mean? They're dancing on the walls. So what happens? At the end of the hour, the light goes out and they come off the walls and start murdering you. I mean, it might be nice to know. And then it also says replacement candles are in the laboratory. What is the laboratory? Where is the laboratory? Is that the rope making room? Is that the armory? Is that the research most foul? I don't know where we've seen candles or laboratory mentioned. So maybe they changed that name and it didn't focus down. Maybe I missed it, but seems a bit of an oversight there. Those who are contained, circles of metal bind strips of tanned flesh. The holes between the strips vibrate with a colorful miasma and faint ticking to the ears. They call the darkness, which you are uncomfortably familiar. With which I think you are uncomfortably familiar. The room is filled with the rigs, but none touch. What is a rig? Breaking the flesh within a circle releases a bound one. Okay. Well, I'm not sure what crazed adventurer want to go and monkey with that, given everything that's been described, but all right. It releases a bound one, which is kind of funny, except wouldn't that be now an unbound one since it's been released? And then the prisoner. Behind doors, she cries. Her voice can only be heard at one of the two entrances. The first is knotted rope, and the second knotted metal. The first will try to form a union with your skin, while the second will attempt to flay you. Behind these, Freya sits, bound. She's now awake and must be put back to sleep. And then into the rift, a sanctum embellished by shrines to long-forgotten gods leads to the bridge. So the bridge, which actually takes up not a fair amount, which, I guess between the bridge and the hazards and the what slumbers, it takes up a fair amount of this pamphlet, but it doesn't actually have any purpose. It's just atmosphere and a place for your party just to go and wander until they get tired. So I might rethink that, but it's cool. It's interesting. Super flavorful. But yeah, I feel like it could use some reworking a bit. Let me go back. Where was it? Did I lose my spot now? Okay, I already upvoted it there. All right, so that was cool. Oh, Ovaltine Patrol. The bound one is still bound to cause trouble once released. But bum. Yep, exactly. You have now unbound the bound one. All right, what else have we got? Outlaw Merchant. I'm kind of interested about this one. Outlaw Merchant turning Electric Bastion Land into a grimdark hive world, but I don't know enough about Electric Bastion Land to really speak to house ruling it or doing things to it. I wish it's on my list of things to read. Haven't gotten there yet, so I'll have to come back to that one once I have some more knowledge of Electric Bastion Land. Oh, here's something. Making encounters more dynamic. A spark table. It looks like it's an image. Let's see. Well, I'll give it a thumbs up. Let's take a look. So these are 2 D20 encounter tables. I will post this in the chat so folks can grab it if they want. There we go. I just gave you the image. It's hosted on Imgur or Imgur, however you want to pronounce it. Two D20 tables. One is the first word, one's the second word. So with these spark tables, you actually have two options within each cell of the table. Once you roll a number, you pick one of two. So for example, I'm just going to pick, if we pick 1 or 1, you might have enchanted gong, lever operated gong, or enchanted powder, or lever operated powder. So the first column, which has first word, seems like they are all pretty much adjectives or descriptors. So you got enchanted, lever operated, disguised, intermittent, locked, fragile, hidden, teetering, filthy, collapsible, scattered, miniature, bunch of or lit by, illusory, blinking, suspended, invisible, so on and so forth. Then the second one is the subject of that. So the first one was gong or powder. Then we have rug, strobe lights, curtains, garbage, statue / idol, valuables, chandeliers, slope, throne, unintelligent creatures, mannequins, cauldron, barrels, bonfire, fabric, leaves, etc., etc. Chimp says floating garbage. Yeah, so there you can obviously, these things are great on the one hand because you can get some amazing stuff. Of course, you can get stuff that doesn't make much sense, at least on the face of it. So you might, depending on your style of GMing, you might find these wonderful for getting these evocative features like floating garbage or collapsible unintelligent creatures, or lit by sarcophaguses, illusory tapestries, intelligent chutes, mimic carts. Right, there's all kinds of magnetic water, floating lava, concealed ricocheting garbage, super dense leaves, right? And there's all kinds of soggy, I don't know whether it's soggy alcoves. There's a lot of fun stuff there. But it's going to come down to, hey, you find this kind of very vague, potentially nonsensical stuff. Results are going to help you, and they'll give you ideas, or you're going to find that it doesn't fit with you, in which case, this might not be for you. But that's pretty good. I can dig it. Any comments that we want to read, or is there instructions? Oh yeah, let me give credit. This was posted by _the deck. And _the deck says, after finding and loving prismatic wastelands and electric bastion lands, spark tables as a tool for inspiration, I wanted to write something similar for encounters. This table is designed to add the precariously teetering vase or swinging chandelier to an otherwise barren encounter. Roll 2d20 and combine one of the first words with one of the second words. For example, combining 7 and 18 which was 7 is bunch of or lit by, and 18 ladder or portal. Could a pile of ladders stacked in the corner. Each window in the room is a portal. A glowing ladder stands in the center of the room. There's a glowing portal in the center of the room. I tried to set this up to work for both dungeons and wilderness encounters, since there are probably not that many windows in the woods. Enjoy. Cool. Oh, wait, we got some other ones here. Nothing has red hot unintelligent creature. Bimbo / Mimbo? Oh, old team patrol with the thermodynamic thought. Nice. Yeah, you get a lot of good stuff out of here. Hey, if you find it useful, grab it. What about what would be an avalanching? Well, avalanching lava actually fits. It's kind of cool. Avalanching powder, interesting. Oil-soaked idol or statue actually would be interesting too. Yeah, there's definitely some cool stuff in there. Okay, sell me on OSE. I don't know why do people post these things. OSE is kind of as generic as you can get. What would be the selling point is, hey, you are interested in basic expert at the low cost of, I think, free for the non-graphical, nicely formatted version. It's well organized, it's supported, and it just gives you what you need to play. I mean, I don't know what it's not. It's not opinionated. It's not making any particular weirdness or anything. It's just that set of rules, pretty much. Smoothed over and reassembled. I mean, I don't know what this, that's the selling point, right? You like BX, or you like this idea of BX, but you wish it was organized differently, or you're wishing for something that was a modern, updated product that was well organized. That's OSC. That's pretty much it. Where to buy physical books in Australia? I don't know. Rules Cyclopedia Clerics. I'm not going to know enough about that to say anything. What kind of doing time? All right, 10 minutes left. What can we get to? Grand Guignol, Tactical Theater of the Mind for your OSR system of choice. Okay, here we go. Check this one out. This is going to take us somewhere. Medium. So we got this. I will post this. Chip says, well, there's Dolmenwood, so OSC to support Gavin? I guess. Sure. I mean, it's good. I don't have anything against OSC. I happen to have both I happen to have working copies of BX, so I don't need it, but I've read it for the channel. I've gone over it. It's perfectly fine. Just the selling point is, I guess you're supporting that author you like it, and it's just well organized. I mean, the people love the organization of OSC. I think the main reason I see it often put at the head of the list of retro clones is that, one, it is a retro clone. It is not opinionated. It's not putting a bunch of house rules that you may not want. It is giving you essentially here's what the BX was basically like, but we're just giving it to you in presumably a better organized way than the original one. I actually don't find BX that difficult or that disorganized, but I've been around it so long that I don't know. But I do get that from, I think, a lot of people's perspective, the sort of artificial separation of the stuff in the expert set from the basic set, like hex crawl rules and other things, and only having levels 1 to 3 in one book, and then you got to go to the other book for the other one. Things like that probably make it, hey, if you have OSC that just got everything together all in one spot without this somewhat artificial division between whatever you want to call basic and whatever you want to call expert at this point, it's good. Okay, yes, got it. Can you get rid of that? Thank you, medium. Okay, this is called Grand Guignol, or Guignol, maybe, Tactical Theater of the Mind. Posted by Sean F. Smith 1 day ago. Okay, this says 2-minute read. Let's see. Oh, wait, before we get into that, Elfbait says, I very much enjoy the OSC set. I have BX original books, but OSC makes it much easier to use. Well, there you go. I don't have any. I only have the electronic books or book. I think I just have the core book. When I'm playing my home game, I have a folder with a hole punch, 3-ring binder, I guess, with basic and expert inside it, and I just flip through that, and then I'll go to the monster manual, the AD&D monster manual, sometimes when I need something else, and if I can't find what I'm looking for in there because it doesn't exist, or I don't feel like making a ruling, I want to find a rule or some other thing, I'll go to the Rules Cyclopedia or the Dungeon Master's Guide. They're kind of my go-tos. And then if nothing is satisfactory, or if I don't feel like, if I don't have time to go through that stuff, then I'll just make a ruling. This is a modular rule that brings gamey tactical combat to your OSR system of choice. All right, Sean F. Smith, I'm here for you. First, he's giving us core assumptions. Let's take place in regions that are split into abstract zones. Anyone can engage in melee combat with anyone in the same zone. You can't fire missile weapons at anyone in the same zone. This kind of zone thing I've seen before. I want to say the first place I saw, I think, was Shadow of the Demon Lord. Had zones, but I've seen that a lot, right? Kind of you're sort of close, you're far, or maybe medium range, and then you're distant. But we'll see how they have it here. During tactical combat, certain events inflict distracted or exposed states on the combatants. Distracted creatures take a -2 penalty to attacks and skill rolls and are at risk of backstabs/sneak attacks. Exposed creatures grant a +2 bonus to anyone making attack or skill rolls against them. These states stack and can be applied multiple times. Oof, so you can really, really distract somebody and they can have massive penalties and whatnot. So we're essentially getting two different, what's the word here? Conditions, but they stack: distracted and exposed. Combatants who are outnumbered 2-1 in their zone are exposed. Combatants who are outnumbered 2-1 are exposed. I wonder how that is meant. Is it literally supposed to scale double? So you can't expose 2 goblins, let's say, unless you have 4 people in the zone. Then if you have 4 people in the zone, then you can't expose any of them until you have 8 people in the zone. Interesting. Variant initiative. Rounds last 1 minute and are handled simultaneously, with the rounds split into phases. Combatants get 1 action each round, which might be tracked with tokens. Combatants do not have to declare intentions at the outset of the round. And we have a parenthetical. Rarely, powerful foes such as dragons may have multiple action tokens per round, or may be able to store tokens between rounds. All right, so you don't have to declare your intentions. I kind of like, I haven't done that really in my in-person game, but I did it in my play-by-post game, and I kind of liked it. Which you would, in the play-by-post game, and it's easier to do there because it is slower, but you're playing by post anyway, so it's asynchronous, so the slow part doesn't matter so much. I had characters state their intentions and then roll initiative every round, and man, that added some real tension to the fight when I'm trying to do something, but I don't know if I'm getting a chance to do it before this other person did it. And I would have to do that for my creatures as well. I would have to say, okay, this thing is attacking him, or this is doing that. And then if that person got out of the way or they moved, then, and there was nobody else in melee, well, then you kind of lost that. It does add some, like, you can run to a spot and thinking there's someone there, they're not there anymore. But at the same time, it was the tension of, at one point we had a combat where it came down to, there was 1 creature, it might have been a troglodyte, and 2 PCs. The 2 PCs were down to it. It was essentially, if I knew from my side, if the creature went first, someone was going to die. At least one of them, maybe 2, because they had multiple attacks. If the PCs went first and they hit, it was going to kill the troglodyte. And it was really down to each of them saying, like, okay, I'm attacking, and then that nice roll of the dice to see in this round. They couldn't game plan it really. Well, who's going to go first? It was fun. But I haven't done it for my in-person games. I think it might be too slow, unless I could figure out a way to really streamline it. Chip says, stacking / negating bonuses and penalties gives me traumatic 4E flashbacks. Yes, I do remember in 4E having stacks of tokens to try to show all the different conditions that were happening. Yeah, for sure. Maybe have it not stack, but let's get through this, and then we can see. But yeah, you might have to. Always that push and pull, right? One thing I love about the advantage and disadvantage system is it's so simple, but on the back side of it, it's so simple. That's, feels limited. All right, so we can do magic. Spend your token to cast a spell or use a spell-like effect. Missile fire. You can fire a missile. Melee. You can do melee. You can move. Other, which is some kind of catch-all for somehow influencing the zone in which you're in. Maybe to distract or expose an enemy for the next round. Should not require a roll or allow a save, since someone has spent their entire round to do this. This is interesting too, I guess, in effect. So you can distract or expose an enemy, but they don't get to roll a save against it. You can just do it. This seems like something that sounds great when the players are doing it. Not so great if you had 8 goblins and 1 goblin gets behind and just starts doing a little dance and distracting or exposing people, and the players just get distracted or exposed, and they just, sorry, can't do anything about it. The goblin's dancing, and that's it, right? And so it sounds great to say, hey, they spent their whole round doing this, so you don't get a save. When that's a player, you go, yeah, I kind of get that from a player effort in out. But if an NPC starts to do it to the players, suddenly I think it doesn't work. I would rather have some kind of role and maybe use the character level to do the save or something, versus, or use the HD if it's a I feel like a save is in order because that distracting or exposing can be somewhat powerful, especially since it can stack. So I have 4 goblins attacking and 4 goblins doing little dances and distracting everybody. Yeah, I think that's could be abused but probably more easily abused by GMs than players, because frankly, unless the players decide to hire like 8 torchbearers / just dudes, and they're just gonna, all right, dudes, go dance in the edge of our zone and distract everybody, you know. And then cleanup. Combats who were distracted or exposed for a round are no longer. Everyone gets their tokens back. Okay. So is this the order? Seems like maybe this is the order that they're doing. No, it can't be. I don't know why they give cleanup as an action. It's not an action. It's just... Oh, and that's it. And then they give some further reading. Greyhawk Initiative from Unearthed Arcana. Old School Hack from Kieran. Savage Worlds Adventure Edition. And Unbound RPG. All right. Well, that's a good last one to think about. I the one thing with these is I like the zones. The zone is cool, but look, I'm not going to say that I've been running large-scale combats for 800 people a billion times. I haven't really had a problem just using just feet and there's a couple of guys standing over there, and you just kind of spitball the distance, and if you're not sure how close they are together, let's say within a fireball that's got some kind of radius or some other thing, you just kind of roll some dice to figure out where they are, and I try to make sure the players are aware of their spacings to know, like, hey, are you guys going to be tightly grouped together within a few feet of each other? Or what are you doing? So that when an enemy wizard or something casts that kind of effect and they go, hey, wait a minute, I can say, listen, I asked you guys how close were you? And you were close to each other, So that tends to work. So when I see these things, I think, well, this is great. But it's kind of theater of the mind. The idea of passing tokens around, I guess, works fine if you... I guess even systems like Roll20 things have, presumably, you can pass some kind of meta currency back and forth, but I'm not sure you need it. I think the zones are kind of cool, and I like that part. In theory, I like the distracted and what was the other one? Exposed. I don't know if I like that they stack, because like I said, you could end up in some situation with, if I had one beefy monster, big monster, say a troll, and then I say, I give him 8 kobolds, and the kobolds don't actually do anything, but they just distract, and then that distract every round just 8 times, and they don't roll, so it's like -10 penalty or +10 bonus or whatever it is for 5 kobolds dancing to expose people or whatever it would be. Maybe the kicker there is they really have to explain how they are exposing somebody, like what are they doing. It seems a little bit, it could be abused. I might do that, but it's got some interesting concepts. There it is. I got a bolt because I got a doctor's appointment I got to head out for soon. Just getting a checkup. Hopefully nothing's too far. I know I've got high blood pressure. I'm pretty sure he's going to put me on blood pressure meds. I don't know why I'm saying not looking forward to it. I probably it's for my health. But it's a bummer that I'll have to start taking that stuff, because apparently once you start taking that stuff, you have to. And I've been lucky so far in life not to have to be on anything, so that'll probably end. But hey, I want a healthy heart. I don't want my heart to explode, so I shall do it. On your way out, give a thumbs up if you enjoy these. If you found yourself in here and you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Nothing bad will happen. It just helps me out. Doesn't hurt you unless you just don't want to see my videos anymore, in which case, well, don't subscribe then. Have a great rest of your day, night, weekend, whenever you were going to watch or listen to this. I'll be back if I don't post anything over the weekend. I don't usually post videos over the weekend, but every once in a while I will. Otherwise, I'll be back with more streams on Monday. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but I will post it when I do figure it out. I try to post it in the community channel tab on the YouTube channel, so you can go there and check that out. Enjoy the rest of your day, night, week, whatever. Have a great weekend. Game on.